The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa today taking us into confidence in terms of the meetings, the marathon meetings that the union has been having at the CCMA with Goodyear Tyres. The company closing its doors, just talking about a winding down process that would leave around 900 of the workers frustrated looking at all of these developments that are playing themselves out. But at the same time, we see Numsa saying that there is a package, there's a deal in place, and I'm going to bring the GS into the conversation with us now. Numsa has about 707 of the workers there at Goodyear that would be affected by this wind down process. And we see you saying that in this particular process in time, you also have set aside 2 months to ensure that at least you bring about a development in terms of safeguarding the work of this facility in Kariega. Welcome to the SABC GS. Let's just start by just getting an understanding of where do we find ourselves right now in terms of the settlement.
Well, good afternoon. I think that we had to realize very quick, after many engagements we had with Goodyear, whose focus on our side was alternatives to save the plant. But we quickly realized that the company was not interested in any alternatives. What they were interested in was to take the volumes of production that they used to supply to the market and allocate it to Europe and the EMEA region where they belong, this region belongs, and then close the manufacturing plant, which is what is their stated intention. They want to close the plant, but they are not closing their distribution network. What that means is that Goodyear's intention and plans is to dump into the local market. And you would have heard what we are raising as a union, that first, we will not give up to make sure that that plant continues to produce tires, and that together with IDC, and we're pleased that both government and the IDC cooperated with us. They have given an expression of interest to buy the plant. We're working with IDC to look for a strategic partner, given Goodyear clear stance that they will not allow us to use their IP, their technology to continue to manufacture tires. We're therefore knocking at different doors together with IDC, even outside the country, looking for a tire company that could have technology that can partner with government workers and take over that plant and continue to produce tires. However, the industry is saturated by dumping of tires that even though ITEC would have put up tariffs, but we continue to have these leakages from Cambodia, Vietnam, India, tires that are coming into the local market. That is why we are making a very serious value proposition to government. We did the same on scrap. It was Minister Patel then who agreed that we must ban the exportation of scrap for a particular period, which was to respond to a particular crisis of collapsing of infrastructure and to make scrap available locally. We're saying we need to revisit that example where we can ban two things: importation of tires, importation of carbon, which is basically taking the market of the local company called Orion, which has got jobs, which has got capacity to supply the tire industry. And if we're to succeed to do that, we will bring back the market into the tire companies so that we're out of this crisis. We also raised the issue that about 65% of cars that are in the local market are imported cars with absolutely no local content. We're saying government must follow those brands and demand that they must set up plants here to manufacture. This question of tires can also be that if you bring cars in South Africa, you can't bring cars that are complete with tires when we can supply you with tires. That's another way of making sure that we protect our local industry. We should be learning from Trump. He is not playing, and we're not saying we should be protectionist, but we can't destroy what we have got capacity of delivering and go and source finished products somewhere else when our people are not working. That's why we're saying last year we have the National Treasury doing a correct thing, passing a Public Procurement Act, which is a tool to drive localization, but the National Treasury has not been moving in this GNU to come out with public regulations so that there's no SOE, there's no provincial government, there's no national government, there's no one at any level of government who must source material anywhere else when we can manufacture and produce locally. So we're calling on the National Treasury to move with speed to come up with those public regulations.
Yeah, just before we let you go, GS, just pressed for time a bit, let's talk about the settlement because we understand that there are workers that have been with the company for decades now. Most of them would be worried about how then this process would see them sustain their lives beyond the closure of this plant. We see that there's a deal in place, but worried and concerned that we see the company starting at 50,000 rand. Maybe break that down for us because that is what you rejected.
We rejected the 50,000 rand and we had to put up a fight, and that they were initially offering 2 weeks for each completed year of service. We got 4 weeks now for each completed year of service, 100,000 as a lump sum, which we secured, and that put together linked it to the years of service. I don't intend, but we did share the range because we also worried about the quantum that get to be publicized. It could put workers at risk, but we could not hide the fact that that's what we have secured. We reported back to workers. Workers are happy with what we have managed, but of course money will not be enough given the socio-economic condition, because even if you get some quality quantum which we shared with the public, what are you going to start doing so that you can secure gainful employment? That's why we're also saying we must partner with the company to train those workers, to give them the necessary skills. There must be counseling that goes with that, so that whatever package we secured on the basis of their years of service can be utilized wisely, whilst parallel to that, we are going to be working 24/7 to make sure that we can reopen that plant, find investor, strategic partner. IDC has already put an expression of interest to buy the plant. And we are on the move to make sure that we are going to knock at all different doors. We've got a window of 2 months to be able to do that. And we're leaving no stone unturned in terms of making sure that on all what we've unraveled, we are going to engage with Goodyear to make sure that we can turn this negative picture into a positive picture for workers.
All right, Mr. Jim, thank you very much for giving us your time. Mr. Evan Jim joining us here from Numsa, and you hear them saying that it's a race against time, at least to ensure that they secure that space. At the same time, you hear him saying that government needs to come through and play their part in safeguarding some of these industries. And we hear them also just talking about bleeding numbers and members in various of these sectors, including where we find ourselves now with Goodyear shutting its doors. I'm Katlego Legodi for SABC News in Newtown, Johannesburg.